All right. Well, hello, everyone. I think it's time. We won't keep anybody else waiting. We have 85. So everybody that wants to be here, 87 that is here
and
live.
we bumped it up, Chris. So we bumped up our thing to allow up to 500 participants. So
wow.
Anybody who wants to be here can be here. We
Wonderful.
didn't want anyone to feel that they weren't welcome. So
cool.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get started. So hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here with Chris and I. My name is Bryn Lottig, and I am one of the co-founders of Kikori, and we're an experiential education app that I'll tell you a little bit more about towards the end of the presentation. And then this is my co-host, Chris.
Hi, everyone. Oh, am I supposed, is that my cue?
You do what you want, Chris.
No, I'm cute. Well, hopefully most of you know who I am. Resources later, you can find me at fundoing.com and on teambuilding.com. We'll talk about that later. Let's just get rolling because I know you want to learn stuff.
Yeah.
So Bryn's got a few things before we get started with the activity part.
So just real quickly, I want you to go ahead and find the chat box. Make sure that you're replying to everyone. And in one response, we'd love to see your name, where you're joining us from, and what you do in education. What is your role? So they're starting to come on in. So it's so good to see Amy. Amy was somebody that I went to grad school with. Some of our other supporters that have been around for a while. Christy Miga, so fun.
Hey, Alan, what time is it in South Africa? We'll put in the chat what time it is. Yeah. Or just with your fingers.
Chris, it's the middle of winter. And it's 5:07 p.m.
Okay,
imagine
so
that.
Not too bad, not too bad. Okay. Well, welcome. So good to see you.
It's good to see you again. And Bryn, to connect with her.
Yes, Alan, it's so fun. So it looks like we've got a full range of people who are classroom teachers, administrators, outdoor educators, all kinds of stuff. So I'm hoping that today you find value in what we have to present, whether you are in a brick and mortar classroom, a virtual classroom, or in the great outdoors. So
yeah, and take a little time right now to scroll through. If there's anybody that does exactly what you do, send them a little, you can chat privately using the chat feature. Just down arrow to find the person, and then, hey, get their information, and you guys can connect offline as well. There's a lot of great people from all over the world, which is very cool. Frank Palmisano is here. Hi, Frank. I haven't seen you in forever. Hope you are well, my friend. So good to see everybody. Cool. I'm looking through high school, middle school, elementary. Okay, good. We're going to, everything we're going to do today should I have done with elementary through adults. So I think we should be able to meet a lot of needs today. Cool. Excellent. Wow.
So
Jamaica.
the title...
Jamaica. Sharon is from Jamaica. Sorry, I get so excited about people. We're all over the world. This is so cool. Doing great things.
I know.
All right, Bryn, you're up.
All right. So the title of today's webinar is Physical Distancing Activities to Kick Off the School Year. So we all know that, the world sort of turned upside down, and a lot of our programming has been affected since COVID-19. And last week on Friday, Amy Clymer and I did a really great webinar on virtual activities that you can get a recording of if you were there. If you were there, go ahead and throw a shout out into the chat and just let everybody know that you saw that virtual activities to kick off the school year with Amy and I. But we talked about some things that you can do virtually, but now we want to really focus on things that we're doing that can affect our in-person facilitation, our in-person programming, because there's going to be a number of people who are still looking to work with their participants in a face-to-face situation. So the first thing we wanted to talk about was why does connection before content matter? So throw your answer in the chat as to why you believe, as an educator, connection before content might be critical, especially right now. Yes, there is absolutely a recording of the one that I did last week. And if you I can send it out with the recording of this one as well. So if you registered for this, if you're here, I can get you that recording for sure. It's also public on our YouTube channel. But checking in here, you know, relationships are the most important piece. You have to develop relationships before kids will trust you and learn your content. Oh, that's so good, Amy. If we have to wait on contact, we'd never connect. Students learn from people they connect with. Trust, getting the learner ready to learn. So much good stuff in there. Students are craving community. Yes, 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 yes. All of those things. I recognize that we are sort of preaching to the choir. The audience that we even market to understands how important connection before content is. So here, let me.
And thanks for everybody. I'm scrolling through reading this stuff. It's amazing. We all know what this is about. So hopefully today we'd be able to give you some of these connection activities that will help you.
Oh.
Cool, cool, cool.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. So here we're going to do a quick poll. Maybe if I can. There it is. I'm going to throw a poll up. And so this school year, will your programming be in person or online? Or is it going to be a hybrid? So I see some answers coming in.
Be, yeah, doing both, right? You'd be in person and.
Yeah, so the school district that I work for, we had debated like doing half-day programming, a big cleaning, and then bringing in another batch of students and doing another half-day of programming. There was talk of 2 days on, a day of cleaning, and then 2 days for the other kids and virtual. So there's a whole bunch of hybrid programs and options that were sort of thrown around. I work for an EL education school, so it's expeditionary learning, but we're a public school that runs pre-K through 8th grade. And so, yeah, so it looks like very few people are doing fully in person, only 14%. So I'm gonna give this poll another like 20 seconds, and then I'm gonna end the poll and throw out share the results with you guys.
And as we move into this, consider, you know, what are the things you've already been doing to make connections with participants themselves and between you and the participant? One of the activities we'll do, those of you who have already played the number game, you know how that works. That's kind of a connection between a teacher, educator, and the participants, as well as the participants helping each other. But it's not just about connecting between you and the students, it's connecting the students together. There's a reference to a book that I think is one of the most important books. It's coming up right here in this slide. You'll see a quote from the book called Together by Vivek Murthy. One of the most important books, I think, I would recommend 100% to read this book. It's called Together. You'll get the reference here in just a moment, as soon as the poll is done. But read this book and find out about that, what we call, what Dr. Murthy calls the epidemic of loneliness. And consider then, how can we help people bring themselves out with groups, ask for help, ask for what they need, ask for connection, getting them to have that courage to speak up, reach out, for us to see people who may be, you know, by themselves or who want to connect with others. We've had an amazing opportunity. I don't know how it's going to end up yet with this crazy epidemic, that how will we come out of it? Will we be more connected? Will we be less connected? Will we be more aware? What will we do differently? And to be able to connect worldwide is going to be important if we're going to survive. So us as educators and team builders, we can do this stuff. We can connect people, and not just on a surface. I think people, they get an activity and they do a little icebreaker and then they move on to something else. We are encouraging doing more at a deeper level. Don't rush off to the next activity. Stick with an activity and go into it a little bit. You know how things go. Content is a surface until we purposefully go down and dig down into it a little bit. So with these activities I'm going to show you today, there's so much deeper we can go if you spend the time. It's not one and done. Do it. We can do these things over and over again. All the activities I show you can be done over and over again throughout a year, and then build on and get better at things and being better connected. So results are in. Very cool. Okay, so mostly what we thought, hybrid activities. Very cool. All right, Bryn, are we ready?
All right. So in my screen, it's the Let's Plays. That's what's showing on yours?
I see. That's what I see. I think we're ready. How do we do?
I'm ready.
Okay, 12 minutes in, that's pretty good. My first try at this, it took me 30 minutes to get to the play thing. I was just babbling. Now I'm babbling again. Now, when we do these activities, it's very important that you understand the fundoing.com/resources page. All of the things I'm going to show you and more are at this page. You get your handouts, you'll get free resources. All the things you need are here. Then there's more. I think there's at least a dozen, maybe 10 or a dozen activities at this page, including the ones we're going to do. And you can dive in, get all that stuff there, and then ask me questions. You know how you'll have a resource to get a hold of me. Email-wise, if you have any questions, please reach out. The focus again is on staying at a safe physical distance while safely connecting, right? So we're connecting with each other. So keep in mind, these are physically distanced activities. I'm not going to talk about that every single time. This first one is called Are You More Like? In the resources page, on the resources page, there's a handout of 40, there's a download of 40 questions that are in addition to the book that's available at the store. The book has 1,001 of these connections, but you can have some free ones also in the Dropbox download at the resources site. There's more. So the idea here is, yes, you could just say, hey, are you a letter grade or pass fail? Then what I would do if we're safely distancing, I would just, if they're sitting in chairs, I would just have them stand up if they are more like a letter grade, and stay seated if they are more like pass fail. And then the follow-up would be, okay, look around, see who's like you, see who's not like you. It's okay to be different. Now we're building in differences. We're building in who are we like. Then maybe you could say the next level is more metaphorical. How are you more like a letter grade? when they're younger, when I use these with elementary kids, usually the ones I choose are a little more appropriate for them. And then they usually choose the ones they like. I like this, I don't like that. Or you could say, which one do you like more? An espresso or frappuccino. I don't know what elementary people would do espressos too much, but you'd find questions that are related to more a grade level aptitude or understanding, right? So metaphorically, let's do another one. Are you more like a single movie or a three-part series? So what do you like more could be the first question. How are you like a single movie or a three-part series? Now we're getting a little deeper, getting to know people a little bit more. So in a classroom setting, you're giving some people an opportunity to raise their hand and speak up and say how they think they're like more of a single movie or a three-part series. They have to think a little bit more. This creates a little more creative thinking process. So that first part is, are you more like? You could leave it at that. Then look around. Who's like you, who's not like you. Difference is okay. Then anybody want to share how they think they're more like, how they believe they're more like wind power or solar? And have them be creative and then start feeling safe speaking up. So this is a basic, are you more like? This is not would you rather. Those are kind of crazy. And this is not never have I ever. Okay, so these are whole different contexts. These are meant to explore metaphorical thinking and get to a little more personal level of engagement. All right? Great for writing prompts. Are you more like this or that? Let's write it out, and then we're going to hang these on the wall. That's another way. If you're not at desks, you could physically, everybody being mindful of safe distancing, letter grade goes to one side and a pass fail goes to the other. So now they're congregating in an area if you following safe distancing. Cool. All right. What we'll do from here is if you have questions about the activities I'm going to do, throw them in the chat, and then Bryn's going to keep an eye out on the chat. And if there are ones that we need to address before moving on, or we could go back and look. Let's do a couple and then go back. Hey, any questions? Let's address, and then we'll do the next one. All right. So if you have any questions about this one, could put them in the chat. Okay. Let's go to this activity 2, Bryn.
All right. Oh, monitor the chat, advance the slides.
No, you're the tech. You're the tech person. All right, here we go. Lateral thinking puzzles. This is a 2-part slide, Bryn, so get ready.
I'm ready.
These are, I think a lot of you have probably seen these before. Some people could even call them riddles. It could be riddles, minute mysteries. There's other names for these, but the idea with this is how I use them. And these are great for social distancing. We could be outside and kind of spread out. We could be in our desks spread out. But the idea around this for me is about thinking about, I'm going to say the word good questions. We want to encourage people to ask questions. They are going to ask me questions that I can answer with a yes or no. And sometimes I throw in, it doesn't matter. That's not relevant to your data. So we're going to collect data. Now here's the ask that I give them. Here's one of the directions. If you know the answer, if you believe you know the answer, I'm going to ask you not to blurt it out. The purpose of what we're doing is to help each other learn and grow. So if we just blurt out the answer is no, and then we're done. The learning is over. If we want to continue to help people think about things and collect data, when we're together, we're going to collect a lot of data about each other, about our academic subjects, about our teachers, about our school. Asking good questions or even asking a question is going to be important. So let's say you think you know the answer, right? Now, without blurting it out, now we're in an online setting, so we're going to share in the chat, But without blurting out, think of a question that could be answered with a yes or no that might lead somebody to figure out the answer for themselves. Okay, it's a little tricky sometimes. Elementary kids, I usually do simple riddles. So if you search riddles in a search engine and find some kid-friendly riddles, you could play the same game with kid-friendly riddles. Like what's red and white, red and black and white and red all over, things like that. So you could find those riddles online. These are going to be a little bit more for middle school and older, because we are thinking about and asking questions. So we're going to try one. Bryn's going to put up the next slide. Now remember, if you know the answer, if you believe, don't put it in the chat, but put it in a question that I can answer with a yes or no. All right, ready to play? Here we go.
Maybe. Oh, I went too far.
All right, here it is. Woman puts her 2 children up in a tree. They make no attempt to leave the tree. Why? Okay, now oh, I know this one. Now think of a question that you could ask the group. Are they in a tree house? No. Are they in
is the woman an animal?
Is the what?
Is the woman an animal?
No, woman is not an animal. Is there a bear below them? No, the bear is not below them. Is there danger? There is no danger. Is there flooding? There is no natural disaster of flooding.
Is the tree a live tree? Is it a real tree?
A live tree. Ooh. No. I could also say it used to be.
Are there other people in the tree?
Ooh, yes, there are other people in the tree. Now, as you ask more questions, let me give you another caveat here. What I usually do, and I forgot to tell you this, I say we're going to explore answers. When I say, okay, I think we've got enough data to try an answer, who would like to risk giving an answer? It might be wrong, but it's okay to risk and try. You could give an answer, then I'll pick people to share an answer. If we guess it right away, how many of you had that right answer? How many of you had a different answer? What did you think? So now we're giving them an opportunity to share if they feel safe enough to share in front of the group. What else do we got? Are these pictures of real people?
Yeah. Is the tree drawn on paper? Is the tree on a document?
Yes.
All those are getting a little bit closer.
Yes.
Then are they rock climbers?
Are they rock climbers? Ooh, no, they're not rock climbers. They could be.
Do they live in the tree? Is their house in the tree? Is there food in the tree? Oh, can the woman fly?
No.
Are they waiting on the fire brigade?
Yes. Could be a mythical answer, right? Those mythical movies. All right, since we kind of get the idea, remember we are encouraging people to ask questions. Let's take a little pause quick before I ask for answers. It's also important for you as an educator to create that safe space for asking questions. Even if in your mind you say to yourself as an educator, oh my God, do I have to answer that again? Or is that a question that's unnecessary? We can't do that, right? We encourage, oh, nice, good question. Does anybody know the answer to that? I think we might have answered something like that before. Let the students answer. Oh, no, that's not a good one. And you also have to monitor. This is our responsibility as teachers, educators, facilitators. Monitor how we engage with each other. If we say, oh, stupid, we already answered that question, this is an opportunity for us to talk about how we address one another and how we use our intonation. So now we're opening up the door to create an environment that, even though, yes, I think what you just did is a stupid thing, That's my opinion. It may not be other people's opinion. So how could we change the way you just said that to encourage people to always ask questions? They might have been thinking about a problem they're having or a struggle they're having. They missed that person asking that question. They missed the answer. We all get distracted. If we have a little empathy for those people that they didn't hear or remember, then we can create that safe environment where people have an opportunity and feel willing to ask questions. Okay, so remember, it's not one of those let's do it and let's let this stuff go by. When we're building connections, right, the idea is to help them navigate the skills and abilities to build connections in a positive way. This is our opportunity.
So much of these activities really aren't about the activity, right? It's a medium for which to deliver social emotional learning. And in an activity like this, modeling is so important. And what the students are watching is how you address them and how you guide them to address each other. And so I love it.
And this is an example of what I also call a doorway. When you go to the resources page and you find these lateral puzzles that I've collected, I believe most of them, I can't remember if these are the starred ones now or if these are a good collection, these will also lead to an additional conversation. We could now, after we do this lateral thinking puzzle, we could talk about people's family tree. What about having an exercise? Create a little family tree of as many people as you know. Who knows how to make a family tree? What does a family tree look like? Does it have to look like a tree? Does a tree that we see out in nature the same as a family tree? You know, how do we explain those things? So now it gives us another opportunity to go even further and find out about people's families and connect even deeper. Again, it can be just a fun play and then move on. And this also can be more of a deeper connection exercise. Okay? So far, so good. Let's go back to, were there any questions, Bryn, that you noted about the last two activities?
Most of the questions were just really like playing the game, not so much about the facilitation technique or theory.
Cool. So before we move on, I think people are going to want an answer if they didn't catch the answer. The answer is the woman was putting her children into a family tree in a document of sorts, in a book or on some paper. Okay, if you missed out on that answer, again, they might have left the room, they might have had the audio, we don't know, but the answer is it's a family tree. Nice. Okay, we're going to move on. Next one. This is one of my recent favorites. For this one, I'm going to share my screen. Bryn is already giving me the opportunity to share my screen. She's good. That's what a tech person does. As far as I know, you can only see the page that says, what's the quote? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Everything else behind it is black.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah, this is something I learned, that you can just share a document and not your screen. That way you don't see anything else. Again, this is in the resources page. This will give you the link to all the things that you can download and use. And what they are is, I have to hover over. They are icons. I have when you go to the source for the download for these icons, you'll get to where I got these icons. I think it's called the Noun Project. The Noun Project. I think it was like $19.99 a year for license to all these icons. If you were in my virtual word circle puzzle workshop, we did some of these icon circle puzzles in the workshop. But for what's the quote card, you could do this by projecting cards onto a screen if you have the technology to do that. You could copy these and cut these out, put them on a table, and people could randomly go up during an activity, pick one of these or two of these off the table. If we've safely taken care of all the equipment and the paper, they have their own pencils, that sort of a thing. And the idea with this, if I'm projecting this virtually on a screen for people to see, I can say to my students, we're going to have 2 minutes. You can do as many of these as you can in 2 minutes if you'd like, or just choose one. But the idea is to pick one of these images and think about a quote you would add to one of these images that you might send to someone that you know. You could send it to a best friend. You could send it to a relative. You could send it to anybody in your community that you might want to give them an uplifting message or let them know that you're thinking about them. So think about someone else as you look at these pictures, and then write a quote to the picture, and then who would you send it to? Now, could you physically send these? I don't know yet. Handing things off to people, not so much. Could, if you had access, if your students had access to a phone, could they take a picture of their image card and their quote and send it to someone? Could they text someone the message? There could be ways that you could get these messages out to people if you do it safely in your context. But let's play. Let's do one of these images for yourself. Think about someone you would send it to. You don't have to tell us who that person is, but think about a quote and what would the quote say. Write in the chat, I have a quote for number 3. Here's my quote. And then just in your mind, who would you send it to? And again, you can copy these off. There's a PDF download. There's full instructions in at the resources page. So I want to open up my chat and make sure I get to see who's playing. And again, you don't have to play. You can just think. Quote number 1, whatever the challenge we have, your back. Wonderful.
Oh. I think it's so important for kids, especially right now, to feel seen and heard. You know, so much that's going on in the world. I feel like youth are sort of the collateral damage, and they don't have as loud of a voice. So that's so important.
And what I like about what I find when you go to the blog post for this, you can scroll down and see some of the amazing examples that I collected and took pictures of. If you have some of those examples, send them to me. I'll put them up there so we can have this scrolling kind of archive. But to me, what I found most powerful is if we're thinking about someone else, it seems easier for people to write a quote if we're thinking about sending it to somebody else, or we're thinking about taking care of someone else. That's what I've found to be the most powerful use of this. Could you give everyone a set of their quote, of these quote cards, quote images, and they could kind of journal. They could maybe keep a record and cut things out. And I don't know what, you know, how could we be creative and give each other these messages? Could there be around our room, could there be names, our names around the room, and then we put some tape on the back of these and we put them under their name? I don't know. Would that work? Could everybody get the same amount? Could the teacher add some? You know, how's it going to look if somebody gets more than others? Do we talk about that? How do we see other people need some encouragement? This is that book Together where he talks about we also have to look around. We may not be doing anything mean to someone, but we may not be helping either. Is there a way to help a little bit? To give a smile in the hallway, to at least say hello to someone, to invite somebody to come and sit with them if they're by themselves. This is a way we create those connections. Cool. Let's do, here's another one. Let's do real quick. Maybe there's some inspiration there. In your download, there's no numbers on these, so I think I'll make sure I go put this one at the blog site, so that you get this one too. Because if you do want to project these, you'll have those. Because I think I just have the downloadable cut and handout kind of PDF is available, but I'll put those on later. Be a good listener. Would love to know your thoughts. Oh, I like that one. Think outside the box. I forgot my face mask. I like that one. Very cool. See, now doesn't that open up a conversation about face masks? You know, people have opinions about face masks, and where do they get them from? Where do they get their beliefs from? How do they come to these decisions? All of this, these quotes can lead to now deeper conversations. Everything we've done so far can be done very superficially. Let's have a little fun. Let's make this a fun thing and then move on. You don't always have to process everything. And you can take them further if you have time. Again, all three so far, we can do these over and over again. We can come up with new things. Could you have your students draw some icons and contribute them to the class? And then have a little contest about write a quote to as many of the students who drew icons. What do they mean to you, and how are you connected to them? So a lot of different ways you can do this. Cool. You are safe.
I love that one.
Safe environment to grow. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, we ready? Are there any questions about, before we move on, throw any questions in here real quick about what's the quote cards? Again, in the resources page, there's I wrote a whole blog post about it, and information on how you get these icons. I'll add this quote page with the numbers on if you want to use them to project digitally. That'll be up sometime today.
And don't feel like you have to scramble to write notes or take screenshots. I mean, you're certainly welcome to do that, but I promise, if you registered for the event, we have your email and we'll send out a follow-up. That includes links and resources and all the things. So I want you to just be here, be present, and enjoy this time that we have together. So.
All right. I don't see any questions.
I don't see any.
Number 4. Now, some of you might have been.
Well, you got to give me my sharing back.
Oh, I have to stop sharing. See, when I'm not the tech person. Cool. Now, remember, if you have questions, throw them in the chat. We're going to do a Q&A at the end, and we'll try to keep an eye on questions and come back to them.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna have to give me sharing back. I think that was the transition. Remember, we forgot about that. I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, we were playing with that a little bit. All right, so activity 4, you're on.
For this activity, if you were in my Zooming In workshop with Solomon Masala, you will have seen this. This is again at the resources page. All the downloadables that you need. But let's go ahead and play. So, Bryn, you're going to give me back control so I can share.
Man.
I know. I think I can.
Stop share.
Cool.
You go.
My turn. It's all about the power, right? All right, nice. Now, with doing this safe distancing in person, everyone's going to have one of these number cards or number sheets, right? When you go to the resources package, there's more to the resources package. There's even a grid where they can graph their progress. The idea here is everybody's working independently, so they will be searching for numbers in sequence, starting with number 1. So number 1 is at the top left corner. You always start with number 1. In this virtual setting, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be physically hovering your index finger, one index finger, over the number that you're on. So I'll go to 1, and then I got to find 2, and I'm going to move around and hover over the numbers on the document. You're going to have 60 seconds to get as far as you can, right? I promise you all the numbers are there, 1 to 60. If you happen to be really good at this, or you've practiced before because you've done this, and you get to 60 and the minute is not over, just go back to 1 and continue with 1 through as many as you can get to, and add those numbers to your 60 at the end. When the numbers are covered up again, when we come back to this sheet, I want you to write down that first number that you got. So remember, when this scrolls over, I'm going to say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Remember this number, and then I'm going to cover the numbers. Okay? So you have 60 seconds to get as far as you can, starting with number 1, only using 1 index finger. That's all you get. All right? I'm going to set my timer. And we're going to talk a little bit about how I use this in an educational setting. But usually this first time, I just kind of throw it out there. And I don't want them to think about it too much. I just want them to try it and get some experience. If we do goal setting right away, we might not know or have any experience to do accurate goal setting. So let's just get an experience going. All right, on your mark, here we go. Get set, go. All right, hopefully you can see the entire, you might have to move a status bar around. I'm hoping you can see all the numbers. It's depending on your screen that you're using. And I know talking is probably driving some of you absolutely nuts, but that could be a distraction and could be done on purpose, so I'll stop.
Oh, I'm stuck.
30 seconds.
Ah!
$20 seconds.
Ah!
10 seconds.
I'm getting more anxious when you say that.
5 seconds.
Ah!
All right, what number are you on right now? Remember that number? Hopefully you remember that number. Write that number down. All right, it's going to be very important right now that you take a breath. Breathe, breathe, breathe. It's all okay. This is just another experience we're having together. Right? Now, in a face-to-face setting, I will ask for volunteers. If you want to share your number, you can, but you don't have to share any numbers with anybody. This is completely up to you. But if you want to share your number, you can. And then people can share their numbers. And then we could start talking about, well, now you know other people's numbers. What did that just do to you? What did you start thinking? Did you start thinking you're better? Did you start thinking you're worse? And why am I so bad at this? And why is my number so low? If you have a high number, you don't know if it's high yet. But so now we start getting self-talk that comes into this activity. And one of the biggest things I worked on with at-risk youth in this activity was talking about how we talk in our heads. Self-talk, what are we saying? Are we sabotaging our efforts? Are we quitting too early? Are we saying everybody's better than me? Are we saying, well, I'm better than everybody else? How do we manage that to be able to be successful? Then I might ask real quick, hey, does anybody have any strategies that they want to share with the group? And if you have a strategy, those of you who've played this before, you know how this plays out. So don't share just yet the super secret strategy. But if you've never played and you've discovered something, a strategy you might want to share with someone else, you could write it in the chat. If you want to find out some strategies that people are using, go read the chat. If you don't want to find out, then if you're face-to-face, you could plug your ears. You know, if you want to do it on your own, you have that autonomy. You don't need any help from anybody else. Then we talk about that, talk about helping. Okay. Now you have your first number. We're going to have anybody, there's a little bit of advice in the chat. Cool, cool, cool. All right. We're going to go to round 2. Now, I usually tell people we're going to play this 7 times or 10 times or 15 times. My record is 15 times, and there was a purpose behind this. But I think the graph has 7 times. 7's pretty good to get the idea of the lesson, right? But we're going to go into round 2. Same activity. You start with number 1, and you go as far as you can for 60 seconds. Okay. Nice deep breath. Remember, breathing is good for the brain. Helps us to think and focus. On your mark, get set, go. All right. "30 seconds. "20 seconds.
Oh no.
I promise all the numbers are there.
There it is.
10 seconds. 5 seconds. Stop. Remember that number? Okay. And from here, we just keep asking the questions. Okay, so how did you do? There are 3 relationships to goals. You can meet your goal, you can exceed your goal, you can fall short of your goal. What do you say to yourself when you encounter any of those 3 aspects of reaching goals? Did you set your goal too high? Do you set your goal too low and your expectations then change? If you get a high number, why did you get a high number? Did you take someone else's advice? Did you find a strategy? Do you have a strategy that you want to share with anybody? Anybody want to hear a strategy? Anybody using something that's very helpful? We only have 1 index finger. What if we got to use 2? Would that be helpful? So now we talk about how we get better. Oftentimes in this activity, numbers go down because of stress. And now we have to figure out how to counter stress. Self-talk, there's breathing, there's all these kinds of relaxation techniques we can help them out with. The idea is to see how we do with practice, right? If we get help from someone. Now, after round 4, if this strategy has not shown up, I will pipe in and say, as a teacher, as a team builder, I may end up pointing you in a direction. You can use the advice if you want. You can stay with your own strategy. But when you encounter your numbers next time, know that the odd numbers are on the left and the even numbers are on the right. So now we have a way. I might give you some information that might help you. It might not. For some people, I've seen it doesn't help them. They had their own strategy and they cannot get out of their strategy. So that advice didn't work. So it doesn't work for everybody. But then oftentimes I see an exponential change when they have some of that information. So there's more about this activity in the write-up. If you have any more questions, ask me. In the post that you're going to get to, there are 2 videos of a session that I did on this activity, and we talk about this a lot, so you can do more videos with this. All right?
Yeah, and I mean, this translates into the stuff that I do with my students working even on the climbing wall. You know, I tell them to set a personal goal and what is their personal goal and not to compare themselves to others. You know, and that self-talk is so important. You know, and my oldest son was diagnosed with dyslexia this last year, and he struggles with perfectionism. And so when he feels like he's being compared to others or others are watching him, he really struggles and starts to shut down, and that time feature sort of makes him more anxious. And so being able to talk through that and again, just using these activities as a way to open that door for those conversations. It's not about finding the numbers 1 through 60 in order, you know. And so being that good educator, that good facilitator, by laying that foundation for those connections, it's just going to make it that much easier to deliver the academic content that we're charged with. So.
And the number game is specifically is very autonomous, and we have an opportunity to share or not. So as educators, we can build on these experiences and get people to maybe share. You know, I might share when people talk while they're working, it's hard for me to concentrate. So a teacher might need to know that so they can give you some other considerations when you're taking a test. Or how do we open up and share the things that we need so that we can be successful? So keep that in mind. Cool. Those are the 4 activities I'm sharing.
Yeah.
At the resources page, there's more, and we're going to show you how to get a hold of us and how you can ask us questions later as well. All right, Bryn.
Yeah, so in the interest of time, we've got 8 minutes left, and so we're gonna kind of plow through some of this. Fundoing.com is Chris's website and blog, and it's been transformative in my own facilitation. When I met Chris and found this as a resource, it was just phenomenal. So he's got all of these things at fundoing.com. And then recently he launched another project. So his on teambuilding.com. And it's more of a research-based blog with articles. I love his podcast. And recently there's been a couple of podcasts that have launched in our industry. So the On Team Building and then the Ask Michelle and Chris. And I know Phil Brown had registered, I'm not sure if he's here, but the High Five Vertical Playpen podcast has come out recently, and it's fantastic as well. So I know a lot of us aren't commuting the same way we were before, but if you are folding laundry, washing dishes, you know, putzing in the yard, whatever, you know, weeding the garden, I love listening to these podcasts. So great resources to help stimulate your brain, get the ideas flowing, and meet and understand some other people who are doing incredible things in our industry. And then, so those are resources that Chris has, and sometimes my internet and then I hit the button too many times. The thing that I'm so excited to tell you guys about is if you want more activities and you want them at your fingertip, me and my partner Kendra Bostic, who is present in the chat, we developed an app. It is available now for free for the rest of the summer in the app stores. Go and get it. If you already have it, throw it in the chat. Say, like, you know, do a hand raise or something to let other people know if you're familiar with the app, if you've been able to check it out. So the key features of our app is this is an experiential ed resource in your pocket. You can discover and search for activities. You can save and organize them into playlists. but you can also create your own activities if they're not currently in our database. You can publish those and you can share them with others, both the individual activities and the playlists. The playlists are fantastic because what you do is you can put activities in an order or a sequence. That sequence can be your favorites, or it can be an intentional sequence to optimize group development. Say you want to start with those ice melters, those easy peasy get to know you questions, building up towards those problem solving initiatives. And you can organize them. So as an educator, I love this feature because what I do with my pre-K students is very different from what I do with my 8th graders, very different from what I do with my corporate groups. So it might be a 2-hour program versus every other day for an entire semester, or a 2-day retreat. But the thing about our app is that we can't make it free forever. And we have, see, this is what happens. We launched a Kickstarter, and we launched the beta product at the beginning of March, when we thought that all the teachers were going to come back from spring break and be able to finish out the semester with their students. And when that didn't happen, we made the decision to keep the beta free through the rest of the summer, and we have been working so hard to add virtual and physical distancing activities. You can search and filter by those categories, and it's so exciting. And we've got 3 days to achieve our Kickstarter. And the thing about the Kickstarter is that we are launching our paid memberships in the fall, but the Kickstarter tiers are discounted membership offers. See, and I keep doing it. So for a 1-year membership, when we launch, it's going to be $60. If you get it through the Kickstarter, it's $40. We're going to do webinars like this one, spotlights, and then insider access. So VIP feedback status, all sorts of things to help us create this and make this better, because we want it for our community. The lifetime memberships we are offering, we started offering them at the Association for Experiential Ed conference last November, and we are ending it in 4 days. After the Kickstarter ends, we will not offer lifetime memberships ever again. And you can get it right now for $149, and it includes all of the updates for perpetuity. So if you've already pledged, I'd love for you to put it in the chat, let other people know, and then encourage other people to do it as well. So we want to make this available. We want to help teachers help their students. And we all know that education is crazy right now. So this pocket, or this resource, can be available in your pocket. And if you can't pull your phone out during class, we're making a web app. So it'll be available on your desktop this fall. If you have any questions, I know we're running short on time, we can stay after and do that. I'm more than happy to. Otherwise, here is our contact information. And please feel free to reach out to Chris or me or Kendra at any time. And I'm so glad that you guys have joined us. It's a true honor to be able to do this with Chris, who has been a mentor and a supporter, and it's just so flattering to be able to be here with him.
Well, thank you, Bryn, and thank you everyone for joining us. I have been contributing content, and Kikori has an open access to all the content that I have, so that's my way that I can support them. So hopefully you can support them as well, and pass on the good word. They're going to be around, so it's kind of deciding how you would like to be a part of that.